Here's the truth. You don't need to be a finance expert to get control of your money. You just need a plan, and that starts with building a budget from scratch. This isn't about spreadsheets that make your head spin or cutting out everything fun. This is about clarity, control, peace of mind. It's about knowing what you earn, where it's going, and how you can make it work for you, not against you. Whether you're starting fresh, starting late, or starting over, this series is your step-by-step guide to building a budget that's real, doable, and built to last. Because when you know how to manage your money, you make room for freedom, and that starts right here. Let's get into it. Let's get real, budgeting isn't some dull chore or a punishment. It's the single most effective way to take control of your money and your life. Without a budget, you're basically guessing where your money goes every month. You might think you know, but the truth is most people spend on autopilot. That leads to running out of cash before payday, scrambling to pay bills, or worse, getting stuck in debt. A budget flips that script. It's not about restrictions. It's about clarity. You say exactly what's coming in, what's going out, and where you can cut back or save more. Here is why budgeting matters. It gives you control over your money instead of letting money control you. It prevents surprises like overdraft fees, late bills, or empty accounts. It creates space to build savings and invest in your future. It helps you pay down debt faster, freeing you from financial stress. It forces you to be intentional about what you spend on, meaning you spend on what matters, not what's convenient. Budgeting is the foundation for financial freedom. Without it, your money is just noise. With it, your money becomes a tool, a plan, a roadmap of where you want to go. So if you want to stop guessing and start owning your future, budgeting is where it begins. Now that we've talked about why budgeting matters, let's look at the most essential part of it, knowing your numbers. To make a plan for your money, you have to know two things: how much money you have coming in and how much you are spending, and on what. Seems basic, but this is where most people go wrong. They underestimate how much they spend, or they assume that their paycheck is enough to cover everything. That disconnect is where the trouble starts. Let's start with income. Look at what you earn this month and make sure it's your net income, the amount after taxes and deductions. If your income changes month to month, take an average of the last few months to get a realistic number. And if you still need help doing that, watch another video on how to budget on a variable income. Next is your spending, and this is where you need to get honest. Go through your recent bank statements, card transactions, or payment apps. Where is your money actually going? Bills, food, transportation, subscriptions, random online orders, write it all down. Start grouping those expenses into categories. You don't need perfect numbers, but you do need a clear picture. This is your starting point, not for judgment, but for awareness. Because here is the truth: you can't fix what you don't see. You can't save what you don't track, and you can't build anything solid without foundation. This step gives you the visibility you need to take control of your finances, not just guess at them. You know what you make, you've seen where your money is going, and now it's time to take control. And that starts with tracking your spending. This doesn't mean obsessing over every penny or making your life revolve around receipts. It means building awareness. Because if you don't track spending, your money moves without direction and usually not in your favor. The goal here is simple: know what's being spent while you are spending it. Pick a budgeting method that works for you. What matters is consistency. Track everything, not just bills, but that coffee, that late night takeout order, that monthly charge you forgot to cancel. Every dollar has to show up. And once you've got a clear picture of your spending, that's when you give your money a purpose. Start assigning limits to each category, not as restrictions, but as boundaries that reflect your priorities. If dining out is important to you, keep it in the budget, but put a cap on it. If you are spending too much on subscriptions you barely use, scale back. This isn't about cutting the fun, it's about making room for what really matters. The key: be realistic. See limits that you can actually live with. If your budget too tight, you won't follow it. If it's too loose, it won't work. This is where budgeting shifts from something you think about once a month to something you actually live by. Not rigid, not restrictive, just smart, intentional money management. Now that you've tracked your spending and created boundaries that reflect your priorities, it's time to go deeper. Saving and debt repayment, the two habits that transform your budget from survival mode to long-term success. Let's start with saving. Most people think of savings as whatever's left over, if there is anything left at all. That's backwards. If your goal is stability, freedom, or growth, saving needs to be built in, not optional. The first thing to aim for: an emergency fund. Start with 1 month of expenses and eventually work your way up to 3 to 6 months. Why? Because life happens. Car repairs, medical bills, job loss. When you have cash ready, those things become setbacks, not disasters. And don't stop at emergencies. Start saving for goals that matter to you. When you are clear about why you are saving, it's easier to stay consistent. Now let's talk debt. Debt drains your future, especially high-interest debt like credit cards. If you are carrying balances, your budget should include a plan to knock them out with urgency. Here are two popular approaches. The avalanche method. Pay extra toward the debt with the highest interest rates first, while making minimums on the rest. You'll save more money in the long run. The snowball method. Pay off the smallest debt first, then roll that payment into the next one. You get momentum and quick wins. Either one works. What matters is that you stick with it. And just like savings, automate if you can. Set up automatic transfers to your savings, automatic payments to your debt. Make your budget work without needing constant willpower. This part of budgeting isn't just about numbers, it's about security, freedom, and choice. Saving means you are prepared. Paying off debt means you are no longer start paying for your past. And both are essential. Now here is the truth about budgeting. It's not set it and forget it thing. Your budget isn't meant to be perfect, it's meant to be active. It's a system that should evolve with your life. This means you need to review and adjust it regularly, not once a year, not when things go wrong, but monthly. Set a reminder at the end of any month. Sit down for 15-20 minutes. Look at what actually happened. Did you stay within your spending limits? Did any unexpected costs show up? Did your income change? Did you hit any goals? Be honest, not critical, just honest. If you went over in one area, ask why. If you underspent in another, ask yourself if you can shift that money towards the savings or debt. This isn't about making everything right, it's about learning and adapting. Let's say your grocery budget is always off by $50. That's not a failure, that's a feedback. Adjusting, that's how you make your budget work in real life. Also, keep in mind, your life won't stay the same every month. Expenses change, priorities shift. Maybe you move, get a raise, start a side hustle, or set new goals. Your budget should reflect all of that. This regular review is where long-term success happens, not in the first draft of your budget, but on how you manage it month after month. Consistency is what separates people who try budgeting from people who actually change their financial lives. Don't skip this part. Check in, adjust, and keep moving forward. You've got the structure, you've done the work, now let's make sure your budget actually sticks. Because budgeting isn't just a one-time setup, it's a habit. And like any habit, it needs a system that supports it. There are plenty of apps out there to make budgeting easier. You need a budget, Mint, every dollar. Don't overthink which tool is best. Use what fits your style and what you actually stick with. Now, the habits. Check in once a week. Spend 5-10 minutes reviewing your budget. Adjust anything that's off. This keeps you from drifting. Automate where possible. Schedule transfers to savings. Set up automatic debt payments. Let the system do the work so you don't have to think about it daily. Keep your goals visible. Whether it's saving for a trip, paying off debt, or buying your freedom, remind yourself why you're doing this. The why keeps you motivated when the how feels boring. Expect setbacks. There will be surprise expenses. You'll forget something. That doesn't mean you failed. That means you are human. Adjust and move forward. Make it yours. Some people love tracking every penny, others prefer high-level categories. The right way to budget is the way that helps you to feel in control and stay consistent. Budgeting isn't about being perfect, it's about being intentional. And when you create systems that supports your goals, money stops being a source of stress and becomes a source of strength. Thanks so much for watching my series on creating budgeting from scratch. Remember, budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about freedom, clarity, and building the life you want. Start small, stay consistent, and don't be afraid to adjust your plan as you go. And if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with friends who could use some money magic too. And share your successful budgeting stories in the comments below. See you next time.